We're back, fourth and final segment of the TD show this morning. Had a pretty big show. Had a lot to talk about with the NFC and AFC championships last week. We had head coach David Clemens of the Metcalfe County Boys on in this hour, and we've got still a lot left to talk about and only 30 minutes to get it in, so it's going to be a jam-packed final segment. We want to touch on a little outdoor stuff. We always try and throw some outdoors in, just give a platform to the hunters and fishermen around the country, especially around this area, to listen to us. Turkey season's coming up. Starts on April 12th this year. Thought we'd talk about it a little bit, review last year, what happened. Last year there were 32,498 turkeys killed in Kentucky. 27,546 of these were adults. That means they were 2-year-old or older birds. I've never seen less jakes and small birds than I did last year. I saw a lot of 2-year-old birds. I didn't see a lot of huge birds, and I didn't see a lot of really young birds. They were all 2-year-old birds walking around last year, and that's because of the drought we had in 2012 kind of limited the hatch. Not only did some of the turkeys die off, but the hatch would have been smaller because the mothers wouldn't have been as hydrated. In 2012, we had a few more turkeys taken, 32,792. That was the biggest year in history we've ever had. But that summer there was that drought that I was talking about. This year coming up, I think our numbers of total turkeys killed and total turkey population should be on par with that biggest year we had in 2012. But I think the mature birds are going to fall off because there were so many 2-year-olds killed last year. There's going to be a lot less mature birds killed this year. Also, what's going to happen is there's going to be a whole lot of jakes out there. There's going to be a whole lot of jakes walking around. That's only because last year we had a lot bigger hatch than we did 2 years ago, so there's going to be a lot more. In our county, 10% of the birds killed last year were jakes. This year coming up, it's going to go up. It's going to be 18-20%. What I do think could happen this year on a positive note is I think we could have one of the biggest turkeys. I think our record could go down. I think we'll see at least a couple 30-pound turkeys split around the state this year, and that's because we've got these older birds that have survived, and our grain farming in Kentucky has gone up dramatically. Soybeans are getting farmed around here, and a lot of corn being farmed, and our grain farming, especially in this part of the country, has gone up. So they've got a lot to eat. There's been a lot of programs with CREP and stuff that's giving them protection, and I think our biggest bird ever, at least in this county and this region, is going to happen this year. Another thing that's going to be beneficial to turkey hunters this year is our season starts a little earlier. The past few years, they keep making it a week later, and the birds are all going to be henned up. It means they're harder to call. This year, we're starting April 12th. They're just going to start strutting about that time. The end of March, they're going to start strutting. You're going to start hearing gobbles. But by April 12th, they're going to be pretty fired up. Things are going to be good for that first couple weeks, and even into that last couple weeks of the season, you're still going to be able to call birds, whereas normally they're henned up and they're so call shy you can't do anything. Still going to have plenty of hot birds towards the end of the season. Going to be a good year. Like I said, going to be a lot of jakes killed because there's going to be a lot more out there, a lot less 2-year-old birds. But there are going to be some big birds out there. I think it's going to be a great year. We'd like to talk about it more later, maybe get some calling in.
Well, just to bring this up while we're on the hunting subject, on our webpage, the new thetdshow.com, you can go put your mouse over the TD Nation, and then you remember what the link's called?
Outdoor World.
Outdoor World. Click on Outdoor World, and right now I think we have John Allen with his deer up from last fall. You send us some stories, send us some pictures, send us something, and we'll get that up there with your name on it, your picture, your story,
and
where everybody can see it.
You tell us how you killed it, where you killed it. Give us a little. It can be a fish. It don't have to be a turkey or a deer.
Any wild game.
Yeah, anything you want to share with us.
No other humans or anything like that, though.
No,
we don't want to be doing that. But going straight from hunting in the outdoors to bringing it into the kitchen, how about 2 minutes with Paul Dan?
Throw on a big slab of beef.
What do you have for us today, Dan?
Well, Super Bowl's coming up. I'm going to try and give you a couple good snack recipes for Super Bowl Sunday, or maybe Super Bowl Friday. I don't know. But this first one,
Tuesday.
Tuesday. This first one's pretty simple. Everybody likes little Smokies. This is how I like to do little Smokies. Take your little Smokies, which are those little miniature hot dog looking deals. If you don't know what they are, you take a piece of bacon and wrap it, stick a toothpick in it, and fill up a whole casserole pan with that. When you get done with that, put a little barbecue sauce over it. Lots of people do it that way. This is why I do it a little bit different. I take up an onion, chop that up, and just a little bit of hot sauce, put that in there, give it a little kick, and then take brown sugar and sprinkle over the top. That'll take out some of the heat from that hot sauce, but also give you a little bit of the flavor. Heat your oven up to about 400. Just put them in there till they get warm, probably about 10 minutes. And you have a good snack. They're easy to eat. You got a toothpick in them. Delicious.
Well, from there, something you promised we'd talk about. How about the Olympics?
The Olympics in Sochi, Russia.
Russia.
You know what happened last time Olympics were in Russia?
Well, yeah.
We didn't go.
I mean, just as far as the location, I mean, I think we both agree it's a bad idea.
Yeah. If you want to go to Russia, there are places in Russia that, if you want to go to Berlin, it would be a fairly safe place to go. It's not going to be New York City. It's not going to be Atlanta, Georgia. It's not going to be Aspen, Colorado, or Vancouver, British Columbia. But it's going to be a lot safer than where they are. They're 30 miles from Georgia.
Yeah, well, first let's go here in that no matter where you are right now, I mean, we saw with the Boston Marathon that things can happen anywhere.
I agree.
We know that. But I believe here that you're sort of escalating the issue.
And you're asking for it. You're in a region of the country who has a lot of beliefs that are different than ours. They don't have a lot of the freedoms that we have. Even though they're in Russia, who is a more progressive nation, this region of Russia, this southern region of Russia, is almost more along the lines with what a lot of extremists believe. I mean, they think things there that we don't accept here and don't believe here. I'm not going to go into all the moral issues there, but their moral compass and our moral compass are pointing in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, when you go somewhere and you have to tell the athletes not to wear their uniforms to where they're going, from the hotel to the arena, I mean, you know that's a place you don't need to be.
Even fans, they didn't want anyone to be wearing Team USA gear. That's stupid to me. That is dumb. You got to find some place in the world where you can show your pride and your respect. You come to the United States, and we're not going to have people who want to persecute people from being from other countries.
For the most part, I mean, there's probably some extreme people out there.
There's extremists everywhere.
Right.
I just don't get it. I know even here we've had our problems in the Olympics, but there are some places that just don't need to be hosting these type of things. Kind of like the Super Bowl being in a cold city. The Olympics don't need to be in a place that's kind of been a hotbed for terror and civil unrest. There's some countries that just can't handle it. I mean, you would not put the Olympics in Edmonton, Kentucky, because we can't handle the physical part of it. And you shouldn't put it there because they can't handle the social side of it and the things that are going to happen there. We saw what happened in Greece. Everything was fine. They couldn't handle the fiscal with an F side of it. They had a lot of trouble paying for everything. There should be a rotation of 10 cities. You know, Tokyo, London, New York, Atlanta, Paris,
nice.
Sydney. You know, big established cities that can handle this inflow. Maybe even Rio de Janeiro if you want to go to a smaller. I mean, a more less civilized. That was a good one. That was a good language there. You know, there should be a rotation of cities that can handle this kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, aside from the location, are you a big fan of the Winter Olympics?
Oh, I love it. I love Olympics. I don't care what it is. I watch curling and I get up and yell. I don't know anything about hockey. I can't watch the NHL. I just can't get into it because I don't know what's going on. The United States hockey team's playing. I'm into that like it's Denver Broncos Super Bowl. I mean, I'm screaming. And what part of it is, I think the NBC guys do a great job explaining what's going on. They know that us as fans of other sports don't translate well into some of these winter sports, and they explain to me what's going on.
Speaking of NBC and their people doing it, have you seen the Bob Costas comment on the morning show that he was on a couple weeks ago?
Go ahead.
Well, he basically said with all these new Winter Olympic freestyle sports,
he had to keep learning.
He has to keep learning, and then he kind of compared them to, it was like watching the movie Jackass.
Yeah.
With all the new stuff that they keep doing. And you know, some people kind of took offense to that in that part of.
I love watching the snowboarding and that kind of stuff. That's exciting to me. That's a lot more exciting than men's gymnastics. I mean, I don't get into that kind of stuff, but I can get into this snowboarding and this ski jumping. I mean, there's an a little bit of fear, a little bit of excitement that goes into it.
Yeah, but
I
if
think
I'm
it's
going to
just as
watch it,
exciting.
I'm going to have to learn something too, because when I start watching the Winter Olympics, it's about anything besides hockey. I don't really have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, but that's what draws the crowd, and that's what draws the ratings of those sports. So Bob Costas better figure it out.
He does a pretty good job with it. I mean, he is one of the better announcers in America.
But like I said, I'll root for Team USA in anything. You could have a quilt making competition, and I'm going to be repping the red, white, and blue. So good luck to everybody there. And what about this? There's a lot of parents who say they're not going to go. They're not going to watch their kids because it's just too dangerous.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can understand. I mean, I probably wouldn't want my kid going either.
Well,
it's a once in a lifetime deal.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't at all, because I wouldn't keep my kid from going. I would be scared about it, but by gosh, I'd be there.
Would you want your wife to go?
If she wanted to, she'd feel the same way I did. I would be there if my kid was going.
I mean, if my kid was there, I'd go, but I don't think I'd want my wife going over there. That's just me, though.
I don't know what the concealed carry laws are at the Olympics. Probably not allowed to do it.
I'd imagine you can probably carry in Russia, though. I mean,
yeah,
there's terrorists there. They probably open carry.
Yeah.
I don't know about concealed. Probably got strapped on their back or something. I don't know. Do you have the starting date? I don't know if you do or
February 5th is when it's going to start. At least our televised. I don't know what day that is in Russia, but over here it's February 5th. The 6th, I think, is when the first U.S. hockey game is, and then there will be.
You know an opponent? I'm putting you on the spot.
SUI, whoever that is. It's SUI.
Southern University of Illinois?
No, that's SIU. That's
Yeah,
Southern
I was
Illinois
mixing it around
University.
for you.
I saw it on the schedule, but I didn't know what country it was. But we will be. The opening ceremonies, I think, will be on the 6th at like 7 o'clock at night on NBC, maybe. So it'll be a good time. Everybody loves the Olympics.
I just want to tell a short story real fast. We were talking about Bob Costas and not knowing much about these sports, and him having to admit it openly. I don't know if any of our viewers watched Keith Olbermann last night on ESPN, but he was telling a story about how when he was young, I think he was 10 years old, and his dad had a coworker that said that he knew more about the Yankees. He was the best Yankees fan of all time, and so Olbermann's dad had him call him at work, and the man quizzed him, and he basically asked him to repeat a roster from a certain year for the Yankees. And he went through the starting pitchers, and then he went through the outfielders, the infielders, and so on. And then he got to the bullpen, and he threw in an extra name in there. He said that Rick Albert played for the Yankees that year. But really, there was never any Rick Albert that ever played. And then there was a slight pause, and the guy questioned it. He said, Rick Albert. And Olbermann hesitated again for effect and said, yeah, Rick Albert. Traded from wherever, went into the 9th inning with 2 outs and lost a no-hitter in Washington. And that guy said, and to throw icing on the cake, that guy said, oh yeah, Albert, I was at that game in Washington. So, that kind of came back to bit him because he tried to act like he was the best fan, knowing everything. And then he showed some clips of a few years ago, an interviewer went to the draft and was asking people about Calvin Johnson's brother who was in the draft. And, it showed clips of him saying, oh, he's going to be great, he's quick, got big hands. Anybody from the Johnson family is going to be a good wide receiver. Well, Calvin Johnson's brother wasn't in that draft. So they made fools of themselves. But the reason I tell this story is to tell this story in that one day when me and Dan were younger, in our younger days, playing high school basketball, we went up to Jonathan Reed.
He's been in the studio. Y'all know who he is.
I'm sure y'all know who he is, so be sure to talk to him about this when you see him. Give him a little grief over it. I went up to him. I was like, Reed, did you see Brad Arlington put up 42 points for the Pacers last night? He's like, dude, that guy was awesome. Just came out of nowhere like that. And I didn't tell him for a few days, but there wasn't no Brad Arlington. I made it up, and he agreed with me. But, the moral of the story is if you don't know something about something, you're better off just saying it and looking like a fool sooner than later.
Which might correlate to what we need to talk about next, which is Tanaka getting signed by the Yankees.
Which a lot of people want to give an opinion on.
But what do we know? What do we know about Tanaka and how he played in Japan?
Well, here's where I'm going to go with this before you get started, is that when Hugh the Man Hugh Darvish came last year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling Lucas from center, I can't believe the Rangers are paying this guy $60 million who's never even played in the MLB. They're crazy. He won't even win a game. This is a terrible decision. And then we all see Hugh Darvish is pretty good.
But there are eight players only that are in the MLB right now that are active that are from Japan, there are others who play in the Japanese league, but these are native-born Japanese players played in Japan and then got signed over here. There are 8 in the league right now. Of course, you know Hugh Darvish.
Dice K.
Dice K. You know the Yankees' other pitcher there. I've lost his name. Kuroda.
Kuroda. Pretty good.
Pretty good. So it's worked out all right. There have been some flops. The Braves swung and missed on one. There have been some other teams that have swung and missed on these. It's how do these stats correlate? Let me give you what he did in Japan. This is Mashiro Tanaka.
24-0.
24-0 last year with
Right,
a 1.7 ERA, 183 innings pitched, 183 strikeouts, 212 innings pitched. That's pretty good. Lifetime 99.35, 2.3 ERA, 13.15 inning pitch, 1,238 Ks. Pretty good. Is it worth $155 million?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with me is that these players are certainly capable of playing here and being successful. That's not the argument. I mean, we've seen them come over here and play. My thing is, how can you give so much money to any player, no matter where they're from, even if they're from the United States, that have never played in the MLB?
I agree. And what happens is we get caught up in the mystery, in the excitement of this. You know, this Eastern. That's $155 million plus the $20 million they had to pay his team in Japan. So $175 million is what they're giving up for this guy. Only 4 years of that is guaranteed. So they're in it for about $120 million, regardless what happens.
And I think this is all part of a bigger trend that I've talked about before, in that you have all these teams getting big TV contracts now, and basically are going to spend as much money as they want to, as they see needed, that makes them feel like they're going to win. And the Yankees were kind of ahead, about a decade ahead of everybody with this, with the Yes Network.
Yeah.
So they had all this money before, but I believe now, I mean, even in smaller market teams, we're going to see amounts of money that blow us away, being from the area that we're from, watching baseball.
And the Yankees this year said that they were going to. Well, we don't know what's going on. They said they were going to cut down. They spent $491 million this offseason. $491 million. That puts them $189 million over the salary cap when they were supposed to be cutting back. They were going to play at the cap or under. They spent $153 on Jacoby Ellsbury, $100 million on Brian McCann. I think that was their best pickup. Brian McCann is an awesome catcher and a great bat.
And you ain't crossing home plate.
No.
He'll stand you up.
And he's young, which is what they need.
You can't see. He's got bad eyes.
He's got glasses.
What if they break?
And they pay $45 million for
Have you never seen The Twilight Zone, where the guy's the last man on Earth and he's got his glasses and they break?
Well.
And then, I mean, he's done.
LASIK.
He's the last man on Earth. He can't perform LASIK surgery on himself, and he's a librarian, not an eye surgeon.
It happens.
Anyways, I mean, for those who don't know, I don't know that we said this specifically. The deal was 7 years, 155 million.
Guaranteed for 4, with an opt-out on either side after 4 years, plus $20 million to his team, something Eagles. I can't say the city name, I'm sorry. Eagles.
But basically, for those who don't know, there's not a hard salary cap in baseball. It's a soft salary cap, which means you can go over it if you want to, but for every dollar that you go over that, you have to pay a 50% tax on it. So if you sign a guy for a contract $1 over the luxury tax, you got to pay $1.50
to the MLB.
Right. Well, 50
to the MLB.
You're paying $1.50.
Right.
But, and I mean, I just don't think it's going to be a deal anymore. People are just going to say, we've got this TV money, and we're going to pay it.
Will we see a hard cap?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that's the direction that the MLB wants to go in. I think they'll let them spend it, because I think before, over the past decade, while the Yankees had this advantage, and I think it was a disadvantage to other teams. But now, I mean, even with a smaller market team like the Cincinnati Reds, we've seen them sign Votto to $100 and some million. We saw them sign Phillips to $60 some million. I believe that it's going to become a somewhat level playing field, even with small markets, because even they're going to be having so much money come in from their TV, the MLB packages, just everywhere.
Right, and one of the things is something I'm kind of glad to see is that this money, these past few big contracts we've seen have been to pitchers. They're starting to understand where the game is headed, and that might not be a good thing for all fans, but it's a good thing for people who like to see technical baseball, like to see the decision making process behind it and that kind of thing. And that's because we've come out of this PED era, and now pitching is what's winning games, and GMs and managers understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a bad thing for the Reds if they lose Homer Bailey this offseason, but I mean, I believe as a whole, it's.
Did you go see Sam McClure? Did you go see Sam? He was in Bowling Green yesterday.
Was that already now?
Yeah, he was.
I knew the Reds caravan was going on.
Yeah, Sam McClure and Walt Jocketty and
I would like to see Sam
Tom
McClure.
Brenneman.
I feel like I would need to have my facial hair sculptured just perfectly when I went to meet him, though.
He didn't
have
look.
a little roll up.
No, he had a goatee and a scruffy side beard.
Well, then we'd probably get along.
Yeah,
right?
he didn't have the swirls, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, he's known for having the best mustache in the game.
Yeah, maybe by the time season's back. Well, he's got a report in 3 weeks, so maybe he was just doing something normal. And then,
Yeah.
it might be 2 weeks now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's coming up. But we're running out of time here, so let's get to what to watch. What do you have for us to watch?
We lost our intro. This week I've got, as usual, I've got 2 things you need to watch.
Live radio, people. Live radio here.
The first thing I want you to watch is Lincoln Bell from Metcalfe County Boys High School. I talked about him with David, with Coach Clemens. Great all-around post player, has ball handling abilities, and he can step out and shoot it if he needs to. Like I said to David, and like I've said a few times this year, has more hustle than any player you'll ever see. I like the ability he has to stake his claim in the paint against anyone, whether they're a foot taller or 100 pounds heavier. That being said, I want you to watch the rest of the team too. You've got Colby White, who can bring the ball up the floor, handle it so well, and he's got a little length on him, and he can shoot over people, can drop it, can shoot nicely outside, and he's not afraid to take it inside. We've also got Spencer Noe, who can shoot well outside, and you've got Lance Zummerly, who's a smaller guy but can handle the ball well. I really like the combo though when they bring the ball up and Colby White's on the right side and has the ability to drive in and then kick back out, and then Lincoln Bell flashes down low, or Logan Bell, I'm sorry, flashes down low, and Colby can either make the decision to give it to him or take it himself. It's tough to defend that side with Logan Bell and Colby White on the same side. The good things are going to happen with the Metcalfe County boys. I'm telling you, they're headed the right direction. Second thing I want you to watch is a little different than what I normally talk about, and that's Al Roker. Big news this week will be happening in New York City, or really in Jersey City, I guess. And who better to fill us in than America's favorite weatherman? I said America's, not mine. I'm a Chris Allen fan. Chris, if you're listening, give us a retweet or something.
He's probably not listening.
Either way, I really hope the Super Bowl goes out without any hitch, nothing happens. But with all the talk of what could happen in contingency plans, you never know. Maybe the NFL will learn this lesson. We won't have to deal with this next year. That being said, we're going to run out of time. We haven't heard a guarantee. Let's hear some strong words from a manly man.
Now, time for strong words from a manly man.
They say he has grit. I wanted a man with grit.
If you're looking for trouble, I'll accommodate you. Otherwise, leave it alone.
Well, you set me up there pretty well with the weather and the Super Bowl, and then you kind of stole my thunder earlier when you almost said my guarantee word for word. But I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe the previous record for a draw for the Super Bowl is 51.5.
51.5, that's correct.
I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to say if this Super Bowl happens on Sunday when it's supposed to, with all this weather and all the Richard Sherman and Peyton Manning's legacy and all the talk that goes along with this Super Bowl, drawing everybody from everywhere in, I'm going to say it draws a 55 on 55 on Sunday.
Well, that could happen. I read somewhere that last year 68% of the people that were watching TV watched the Super Bowl.
That is
so if
impressive.
we get 68% of everybody in America to watch it, we're going to blow your guarantee away.
55. Write it down. We might know the next time. No, we won't. I guarantee Sunday.
You said Sunday.
2 weeks from now, we'll come back. We'll see. Of course, if the NFL changes it, then I'll do something. I'll tweet out a new guarantee. I'll give you some sort of guarantee. It might not be as good. But we're running up against the clock here. It's been a great 2 hours today, a great show. We appreciate Coach Clemens coming on, talking to us.
We talked to David, we talked a little hunting, talked about the NFL, the MLB. We didn't get to much college stuff. We'll touch on that next week. There's a lot of big games in the state this week. Kentucky plays today. Whenever we get off, you still got time to watch it.
Or you can watch Duke starting right now on the ESPN, I believe.
WKU and Louisville both play games. Louisville doesn't play till Thursday. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for making it a good month. We've been doing this a month now.
We have. And be sure to check out the new website. We still got a lot to do with it, but you hang with us there, and you're going to get a good product. I promise.
If you have any questions or comments, don't forget to tweet at us at the TD Show, or you can go to our website and leave us comments on there. We're going to have a page where you can get on there and have a discussion board. And if you'd like to advertise with us, we'd like to take care of you. Email us at Daniel@the TD Show, or TJ@the TD Show, or mail at the TD Show, or send us a Twitter message. But we want to help you out. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us.
We'll see y'all next week.